चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा गदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। हे कृष्ण करुण सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधाकान्ता नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी शिवानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे. So let's get started. Thank you Channa and Sri Lakshmi for your wonderful kirtan. I don't find her. Rashmi, can you unmute and tell me it's you?
Hare Krishna, Preeti, I'm there. Can you hear me?
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I am at work. In case I have to go, then Rashmi will take the class. It is a very interesting chapter. Karma Yoga, the Yoga of Action, Chapter 3. Okay, so let's dive in. So let's pay our obeisances to Shri Radha Govinda, for whose pleasure we are doing everything. They are so beautiful, right? They're very beautiful. So this is what we did yesterday. Second chapter, the synopsis of the entire Bhagavad Gita. Or you can chat, write your questions, please. You're gonna be chatting only with me, but write your questions only. Compassion, Arjuna said in first chapter, he gave reasons. I'm not gonna fight. Compassion, Krishna addressed in the second chapter with the virtue of knowledge. He gave the knowledge that we're not the body, we're the soul. So your compassion has to be applied to the soul and not the body. Arjuna said, I'm not going to fight because there'll be no enjoyment. All my relatives will be dead and gone. Krishna gave him the answer using Karma Kand from verse 31 to 37. If you die in this battle, you will attain, heavenly planet. And if you win the battle, then you're going to be the king of the whole earth, so earthly planet. So either way, you're enjoying. Arjuna said in first chapter, I am not going to fight because of the fear of sinful activity. And Krishna gave him the knowledge of Buddhi Yoga, that verse 38 to 53 mostly, devotional activity, there is no sin. And I gave you examples of Lord Hanuman burning the Lanka. It's not sinful. He's serving Lord Rama with his anger. Arjuna said in second chapter, indecision. I am undecided. 2.6 verse. Krishna answers in 2.41. Vivasatmika buddhi ekehi kurinandana. Serve the Lord with firm determination. If you are not able to make up a decision because your intelligence is right now many branched, bring it back. Then Krishna explains Sitadhir Muni, person whose consciousness is merged in pure transcendental consciousness. Today, Krishna is going to give an answer to Arjuna's fifth reason not to fight of destruction of dynasty in verse 18 to 26. That we are role model to prevent Varnashakra. We will not create. I'm audible, right? My admins. So, okay, thank you. Renunciation or action. This is chapter 3. I will bring back this table again at the end. Nishkam Karma Yoga is better than Jnana Yoga. Karma Kand to Karma Yoga. Lead by example and greatest enemy. So, because Krishna told Arjuna so many things, Krishna told Arjuna Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, Sankhya Yoga, Buddhi Yoga. Arjuna was, because he heard the word Buddhi Yoga, he thought that soul has no need of any material comforts. So why does the soul need a kingdom to rule? So, so that means Krishna consciousness is another inertia, no activity. But then Krishna told Arjuna that get up and fight, because you cannot, because you're a Kshatriya. The people will speak ill about you if you leave the fight and go to the forest. So he's confused whether he should not fight, because according to him, soul has no needs, so doesn't need to fight because constitutionally he's a soul. Or should he fight because that is another way of serving Krishna by his activity. So this way, that way, he's confused. So he's asking Krishna, Tadekam Vada. Krishna, tell me one thing. This way, that way, other way, I'm confused. This is Ekam Vada. One thing, Krishna. Tad Ekam Vada. So according to him, Krishna gave the knowledge of the soul in 2.11 to 2.30. So according to him, he thought soul is knowledge of the soul means no activity, inertia. But then Krishna is telling him devotional activity has no sin, so get up and fight. In 38 to 53 verse, where he's answering Arjuna about sinful. It's not sinful to kill your elders in this religious fight. So he's saying, what should I do? Should I just renounce? Should I work? This is the verse. Are there any children in this class who would like to recite this verse? Uh, my audio is clear because some people are writing in the chat that they can't see. I mean, they can't hear. Okay. Sita Mataji, Kalavati Mataji, is my audio clear?
Mataji, your audio is clear.
Okay, thank you.
अर्जुन उवाच ज्ञानासि चेत् कर्मणस्ते मता बुद्धिर्जनार्दन तत्किं कर्मणि घोरे मां नियोजयसि केशव.
Thank you very much. So Krishna said, Arjuna said, oh Janardana, oh Keshava, why do you want to engage me in this ghastly warfare if you think that intelligence is better than brutal work? So Buddhir Janardana. So he's thinking Buddhi means working with intelligence means inertia. Just sit down and meditate. But Krishna answers to him, Manushri Ghosh. Yes, not Manushri. You can chant this verse. Manushri, you can unmute yourself. Okay, I'll chant. Sorry. Vyami Shrineva Vakyena Buddhim Mohaya Shiva me Tadekam Vada Nishchitya Yena Shreyo Aham Apniyam. Means my intelligence is bewildered by your equivocal instructions. Therefore, please tell me decisively which will be most beneficial for me. Which will be most beneficial, fighting or engaging or renouncing the fight? Okay, now Krishna will answer. Krishna answers, Karmendriyani samyamyam ye aste manasa smaran indriya artham vimudhatma mithyachara sa uchyate. So, one who restrains the senses of action, but whose mind dwells on sense objects, certainly deludes himself and is called a pretender. So, Krishna tells him, both are okay, fighting or renouncing the activity or renunciation of the activity or doing an activity in devotional service. Both are okay. But Arjuna, wait a minute. What are you going to do about your mind? So when you look at this photograph, with all due respect to this person, what is it that you think? What is it that's going on here? What's going on with this photograph? You can raise your hand very quickly and tell me what's going on in this photograph. What's standing out to you? Okay, Savita Goyal Mataji, please unmute yourself.
Yes, actually, he is showing himself like a sadhu or something. He is he has given up all the things, but he is, and on the other hand, he is talking on phone and smoking. That means he is working for sense gratification. So that means he is a fraud. He is not on a just a sadhu. He is not a sadhu. I mean,
Thank you,
yeah.
Mataji. Thank you. One more person can talk. Rachuris. Rachuris. Yes, Julie. Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. He has not given up his earthly cravings like smoking or interacting when he is supposed to be actually in thought, always in the thought of Krishna. He is more a pretender, and he himself is not able to focus. How is he going to help out others?
Okay,
And
thank you.
other thi-
Uh-huh.
and
Go.
apart from this, would also misguide people who really want to follow a path of Krishna consciousness.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So, yes, so he is dressed like a sadhu. The dress is like a sadhu, but the behavior is not like a sadhu. Smoking cigarette is, the sadhu does not have to depend on cigarette to feel better. Okay, so the dress is like a sadhu, but not the behavior. So that is the meaning of this word mithya achara. Achara means behavior. Mithya means false. So that behavior is called as false. Mithya charasa uchyate. So one who restrains his senses of action, but whose mind dwells on sense objects, suddenly deludes himself and is called a pretender. Krishna tells Arjuna, you're going to go to the forest, but what are you going to do about your mind? You're a Kshatriya. Your physical, psychological makeup is that of a Kshatriya. Your mind will need, you'll hanker. So that renunciation is incomplete. It's false. Mithya charasa uchyate. Fifth chapter and third chapter have a lot of similarities. Third chapter is called Karma Yoga. Fifth chapter is called Karma Yoga in action. So there again, this will come that what are you going to do about the needs of the mind? So the mind is still dwelling on the object. Prabhupada gives example. Srila Prabhupada gives example. Ekadashi. Okay, Ekadashi, we are asked to fast from grains. Prabhupada says there are so many patients in the hospital who are not eating on Ekadashi, but does that mean that they are fasting? Or but their mind is hankering, when will I get food? When will I get food? When will I get food? But they are also not eating, but that doesn't mean that they are fasting on Ekadashi. So behavior is very important in Krishna consciousness is the esoteric process. What's going on inside? How much of a cleaning of the heart has been done? So Krishna is telling him, it's fine, both are fine, but wait a minute, what is going to happen to your mind? You're going to yearn to fight. Okay, so this is another, like, I may renounce everything, uh, even the earthly planet enjoyment, but if I get attached to something in the middle of the forest where there's nothing, that means my inclination to get attached to something else other than Krishna is still very prominent. So get real. Krishna consciousness is for people who are thoroughly honest. If they're not going to stay, others will not be able to stay. They won't be able to chant Hare Krishna. They won't be able to reason out why chanting Hare Krishna. It, even after explanation, questioning is fine, but even after explanation, it's not going to sit with them. Why? Because they are not real with their own self. On the other hand, if a sincere person tries to control active senses by the mind, control the senses by the mind, it begins Karma Yoga in Krishna consciousness. Without attachment, he is by far superior. So Karma Yoga means there are two words, Karma Yoga and Karma Kant. Yoga word means linking oneself with the Lord, linking oneself with the Supreme or Krishna. So Karma Yoga means working so that by doing that work, I am linking myself to Krishna. Karma Kand means working, but by working so that I can be the enjoyer. You know, I am working in an office day in and day out so that I can get money, and with that money, artha, I can get enjoyment. So, but karma yoga means I will work. I will work, and I will also not enjoy the renounce. I will also not enjoy the fruit of the work, and the work itself. Both will be only to attain Krishna consciousness. That's called Nishkam Karma Yoga. So this is King Pratap Rudra. This is from Chaitanya Chaitamrita. King Pratap Rudra was a king of the of Bengal, but he was a devotee of Krishna. He sent a word to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu, I would like to take your darshan. Mahaprabhu sent a word back. I am a sannyasi and you are a king. You're dealing with material world. I cannot see you. If I see you, my sannyas will be tainted. Sorry. But he got very upset. But Mahaprabhu's associates gave him an idea that you can take darshan of Mahaprabhu when Mahaprabhu comes for Jagannath Rath Yatra. So he was a king. He used to arrange Jagannath Rath Yatra in Puri. But he was in the heart of his heart a devotee of Krishna. So he used to take up the service to clean the floor. Before Jagannath's Rath will move, he will clean the floor for the Rath to come. And Mahaprabhu saw that, and Mahaprabhu was very happy with the real behavior of the king. So it's better to be engaged in one's activity. Now this is the beginning of the chapter. It is better now. First Arjuna asked, what should I do? Should I renounce or should I work? You have given me too many instructions. Krishna says both are okay, but if you renounce work without without really cleaning up the mind, then it will be a false renunciation. That will be a burden on the society, and that is called mithyachara sauchyate. It's false. What are you going to do? Your mind is going to dwell on the senses. When will I fight? When will I get this? But what will you do? So that is where we are heading. That Krishna says here that sincere person tries to control the active senses by the mind and begins karma yoga, work. It's actually easier to work than to just sit and meditate in today's age. We can't. The mind will go here, there. But when we are working, we'll be very focused. But work without attachment, he is by far superior. Work, but how? Karma yoga. So he's going to explain the meaning now. Krishna. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Okay, so work has to be done. Work cannot be left. But how? For as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work causes bondage in this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction. And in that way, you will always remain free from bondage. This is very nice. This is practical application. Jnana is one thing. Jnana is knowledge. Vijnana is another thing. Application of the knowledge. So this is both Jnana and Vijnana. Do the work, but do it in such a way that Vishnu is satisfied. And because Vishnu is satisfied, you will remain free from the bondage of birth and death. This is Yudhishthira Maharaj after the war of Mahabharata. Yudhishthira Maharaj performed Rajasuya festival, a sacrifice. Unanimously, Krishna was chosen as a benefactor of the sacrifice. And he's sitting, he's the king. He gave his throne to Krishna for his worship. And he's sitting next to Narad Muni on the floor, asking him, how should I serve Krishna? He's the king of the whole earth, but he is requesting. This is the irony, okay? Big kings were working so that they can work according to the codes of the scriptures, so that Krishna is satisfied. And once Krishna is satisfied, everyone else is satisfied. And they had time to do it. Now today, if I go to a person, a leader, and say, chant Hare Krishna, please work according to scriptural codes, they're very busy. They have no time. And this is a king who was ruling the entire earth planet, not a small part of the land here and there. Entire earth planet, one flag was there. He was doing it. How to work from me, work has to be done for my satisfaction. I give the codes how to work in the books called Vedas. So Krishna gave word to Brahma, and Brahma got knowledge in the heart from Krishna, and he gave 4 Vedas. Okay, so 4 Vedas tell what is the prescribed duty, the scriptural codes for a human being. Prescribed duties means doing the duty which will not lead to another reaction. reaction means whether good or bad. No, the only reaction will be that one will get liberated from the bonds of material world, and that has to be coming from the Shastras. So Krishna gives birth to Shastras. From Shastras, we learn what to do and what not to do. And because one is learning from the Shastras, it is done for the satisfaction of Krishna. That is why it is called sacrifice. Okay, now this example Krishna gives in this chapter is Vedas tell what is a prescribed duty. When one follows a prescribed duty, it is called as a sacrifice because it is for the enjoyment of Yagna Artha. Yagna Artha Purusha. Yagna Artha Purusha is Vishnu. Because it is for the enjoyment of Krishna, from the enjoyment of performance of sacrifice comes the rain. And from the rain comes the grain. And from the grain, all the living entities are subsitting on the grain. And when somebody gets a grain and they cook nice prasadam, offer again to Krishna. So begin from Krishna, perform all this, perform the sacrifice, get the rain, get the grain, and cook, but again give it back to Krishna. Do it, complete the whole cycle. This is called Nishkam Karma Yoga. Okay, this is a practical example. The devotees of the Lord are released from all kinds of sins because they eat food which is offered first for sacrifice. Others who prepare food for personal sense enjoyment verily eat only sin. See, this is such a powerful verse. The people who are not offering food, minimum means of living and the body for a soul is to eat. But anyone who is not offering first to Krishna, what is he doing or she? What is she doing? They're only preparing food for personal sense enjoyment, and that is how they're only eating sin. Morsel after morsel, sin. It is sinful. When even if somebody says I'm a vegetarian, okay, still it is sinful. Why? Because when we wash the vegetables, so many living entities die. When somebody turns on the stove to cook, so many living entities die. When we are cooking, then also so many living entities are die. We are accountable. We cannot say that because we can't see them, we are not accountable. According to Manu Samhita, we are accountable. We are accountable for conscious or unconscious killing of everyone. We have to give record. But that chain of account giving will be stopped if by a simple action, give it to Krishna. And I'll show you what happens if somebody eats a food which is sanctified. When we offer food to Krishna, it is sanctified. Yagna, Shishta, Shino, Shanto, Muchyante, Sarva Kilbishay, Gunjante te tva agha papam, ye pachanti atma karinat. By performance of yagyas, all activities become purified. As it is stated in the Vedas, ahar shuddho. So when somebody is eating a food which is offered to Krishna, this happens. Ahar shuddho, sattva shuddhi, sattva shuddho dhruva smriti, smriti labhe, sarva granthim vipramoksha. What does it mean? By performance of yagya, one's eatables become sanctified. Okay, and by eating sanctified food stuff, one's very existence become purified. By the purification of existence, finer tissues in the memory become sanctified. When memory is sanctified, one can think of the path of liberation. And all these combined together lead to Krishna consciousness, the great necessity of present-day society. So this is what happens when somebody is eating a offered prasadam. When somebody is not offering, then Krishna already said, eating verily sin only and bonding. Again, that person will have to die, again take birth, again go on until somebody comes to do this. Very, very fine. Subtle laws are very binding. Now, this is the sacrifice cycle. All living bodies subsist on food grains, which are produced from rain. Rains are produced by performance of yagya, sacrifice, and yagya is born of prescribed duty. Okay, this is the same chain that I just showed you, this slide, that everybody is living on grain, and grains are are produced by the performance of prescribed duty. Prescribed duties are given in the Shastras, and by prescribed duties, rain, grain, again, complete the cycle. Krishna wants us to complete in the human form of life, it's possible. Now, what is the sacrifice recommended in this age? What is it? This we will discuss in great detail in chapter 6, but this is just to incite some interest. And if you want to take up chanting from today, Yagne Sankirtane Prayer Yajanti Hi Sumedhasha. Srimad Bhagavatam 11th canto 5th chapter verse 32 says, who will take to Krishna consciousness? Who will? Sumedhasha. Medha means intelligent. Sumedha means very intelligent. Vyasadeva is saying, Yagne Sankirtane Prayer Yajanti Hi Sumedhasha. Who takes to this Krishna consciousness or chanting of Hare Krishna? Very intelligent. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advait Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakti Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this is the sacrifice performance recommended in the Kali Yuga. If somebody may say, where is it mentioned in Bhagavad Gita? Yes, it is mentioned. Please open chapter 10, text number 25. Yagne Nam Japo Yagno Asmi. Of all the sacrifice, I am the Japa, the holy name. Again, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advait Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakti Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Just by chanting these 16 syllables, one gets everything. Therefore, without being attached to the fruits of activities, one should act as a matter of duty. For by working without attachment, one attains the supreme. These words should, has to, must are order. It's an order. They're not written out of accident. No. If it is written, it is an order. Krishna's final verdict is, without being attached to fruits of activity, one should act as a matter of duty. In other words, he's telling Arjuna, fight. Don't think you will gain or lose, or there'll be a victory or defeat, loss or gain. Just fight. Because working without attachment, one attains the supreme. Now, people may ask, what does it mean that we cannot have any attachment? Does Krishna mean become attachment less? No. That's not what it means. It means that the center has to be Krishna. Where Krishna, we are preparing so nice food stuff in the temple. Very luxurious Rajbhog is offered to the deities every day. You must look at the offering. So nice. We cook. But who's the enjoyer? A householder is enjoying as cooking in the house, very luxurious dishes, but they are the enjoyer, right? That is why it is sinful. But a devotee's house also is cooking, but Krishna is the enjoyer. That is why it is a sacrifice. Just that much difference. Same activity, but it is the consciousness which makes it more pure, and the activity itself. And then Krishna says, you have to act. Why? Because yadi yad acharati shreshthas tat tad evataro janaha sayat pramanam kurute lokas tad anuvartate. Whatever action is performed by a great man, common men follow in his footsteps. And whatever standards he set by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. He's giving another reason. One reason he's giving is that you have to fight because it is your prescribed duty. Because you're a Kshatriya. It is written in the Shastras. Kshatriya means the one who gives protection. Shat and Triyate. So fight. And if you're not going to fight, then it is sinful. If you fight, it will be a devotional service. And the other reason that Arjuna gave is the dynasty will be destroyed. If I fight, the elders will be dead. And because the elders will be dead, there will be no more tradition followed in the family. The dynasty will be destroyed. But Krishna is saying no. Dynasty will not be destroyed if you do your prescribed duty. Dynasty will be destroyed if you don't do your prescribed duty. Why? Because everyone is going to follow your lead. Everyone will think whenever we have a doubt, we can just flee. Bhag jao. We can just flee from the action. Everyone will think. Why? Because you are a natural leader of the society. You're a Pandava. You're a Kuru. You are born like that. So whatever action is performed by a great man, common men follow in his footsteps. This is happening in every household. I remember when I was a little girl, And my mother will say, why you did that? I will say, because my grandma does that. You see, we can look in our life and we can see where we are following our elders who are our role models in the house. That somebody will have to perform a duty, but they will flee away and they will say, why are you doing it? Oh, Arjuna did it. Arjuna also got very confused. He left the war. So if he left it, I can do it too. That will lead to an irresponsible society, which is nothing but a Varna Shankara. Irresponsible society is dogs are not responsible. Human being means responsibility, right? So he's saying fight because whatever action, yad yad acharati shrestha, tad eva taro janaha. Whatever action a great personality performs, the common people follow. And whatever standards they set by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. And Krishna is going to say now, this is very important, that okay, now I'm telling you fight, but there are some people, let's say, in this example, this person, this farmer, let's say, who's tilling the field, or this person who's taking a great effort to go on top of the coconut tree. Coconut trees are very tall, very hard to get on the top. Let's say that we go and preach them, my dear farmer, or my dear coconut vendor, you are doing so nice work. Do one thing, work for Krishna. And they may say, why? I am tilling the field, taking all the trouble in the hot weather so that I can get grain and I will sell the grain and I will get the money and I will enjoy with it. And the same argument coconut vendor will also say. So what should we do? Should we tell them, oh, you're a mlecha, you cannot be Krishna conscious because you're not doing work for Krishna? Should we say that? Krishna is more magnanimous than we think. No, we don't say that. Okay, this is what Krishna says. So as not to disrupt the minds of ignorant men attached to fruitive results of prescribed duties, a learned man should not induce them to stop work. Rather, by working in the spirit of devotion, he should engage them in all sorts of activities for the gradual development of Krishna consciousness. So we should not stop, make them stop. Once you know that this particular person is not ready for full surrender, then you ask them, oh, very nice, you're working so hard, you're producing so much grain. So grain, okay, you will sell a lot of grain in the market, but a little grain will be kept for your own family, right? Everybody has to eat. So why don't, when you cook, why don't you offer it first to the deities and eat that prasadam? That much you can do, right? So that person will accommodate Krishna consciousness in their lifestyle. And slowly, eating prasadam, they will become Krishna conscious. Just by eating prasadam, they will become. Or same this person, oh, you're getting so many coconuts, you will sell so many, you will make so much profit. Why don't you buy flowers for Krishna? A little bit small flowers, or some worshipping paraphernalia. So a learned man has to somehow engage everyone. That's what Srila Prabhupada did. Srila Prabhupada was very accommodative. But who is the person who is not going to be convinced about Krishna consciousness? The person who is not going to be convinced about Krishna consciousness will be the person who thinks that because I worked, so I deserve to enjoy. This is very common argument. Because I worked, I studied so much, I spent so many years of my life learning this project or whatever, or building this empire, and now you're telling me leave it. I did it, so I am entitled to the enjoyment also, right? But what happens? This is a very narrow vision. Bhagavad Gita opens our eyes. The spirit soul bewildered, ahankara vimudhatma, by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature. So ahankara vimudhatma, karta aham iti manyate. Oh, ahankara vimudhatma. So mudha means foolish, and vimudha means specially foolish. So because the soul or the spirit soul is bewildered by the influence of the false ego. False ego means that I am this body, and everything in relation to this body is mine. So me and mine, but only in relation to the body, not in relation to Krishna. That person thinks that I am the doer. Because I'm the doer, I am the enjoyer. But that thought is coming nowhere but from three modes of nature: mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. Just dance like a puppet. We are all dancing like a puppet, but we think we are the doers. We are not the doers. Chapter 5, we will read three doers. One doer is the soul desires. Second doer is the super soul. Super soul is hearing what the soul is desiring. And the third doer is material nature. So super soul tells the material nature, bring everything in the presence of this person's life so that they can do what they want to do. But the soul thinks I'm the only doer. I'll give you example. Somebody has a mango seed. They sow the mango seed in the ground. Very religiously, they're taking care of the mango plant. They are watering. They are making sure proper sunlight, or using the herbicides to prevent the pest to invade. Now, when the tree comes up and the mango fruit comes up in the tree, Krishna says, "Give it to me. It is mine." But the person will say, "How it is yours? This is the Vimudhatma. How it is yours? I am taking care of this tree. I am watering. I am doing so much work." But Krishna will counter argue, "My dear sir, did you make the earth? Did you make the earth? No. My dear sir, did you make the sunlight? No. My dear sir, did you make the water? No. My dear sir, okay, forget about all this. Did you make your own intelligence with which you were working? No. Did you make your own hand? No. Then how are you the enjoyer? Then how are you the enjoyer? You are the secondary enjoyer. Primary is Krishna, has to be done through Krishna. Otherwise, te neva sauchate. Otherwise, it's called as thief only. Okay. So, or my Guru Maharaj, I'll tell you, my Guru Maharaj in 1980s went to Sri Lanka. There was an interfaith meeting between different religious cults. And he was there, and Prabhupada's another disciple, Bhakti Swarup Damodar Goswami. He was a scholarly disciple of Srila Prabhupada. He was there. So he tells us the story that Mayavadis were giving class, that how we are God. Mayavadi person mane, they think they are God. They have temporarily become entangled in the body, but after they die, they merge in the effulgence of Brahma Jyoti and they become God again. So that talk rubbish was going on. And my Guru Maharaj said, I was feeling so anxious that how can you talk like this? How can you be God? God means the supreme controller. You cannot even control the call of nature of your own body. How can you be the controller of the whole universe? How? Because bewildered. Ahankara vimudhatma kartahamiti manyate. Okay, which is actually carried out by the three modes of material nature. We can see in the night, I want to be awake because I have so much work to do, but I will be forced to sleep, forced because of mode of ignorance. Okay. Arjuna said, "O descendant of Vrishni, by what is impelled to sinful acts, even unwillingly, as if engaged by force?" So far, what did we do? Arjuna said, Tadekam Vada. Tell me one thing, Krishna. Too many instructions. Should I fight or should I not fight? Krishna says, both are okay, but working is better. Fighting is better. Otherwise, your renunciation will be incomplete. Mithyacharasa uchyate will be false. Why? Because what are you going to do with your mind? There's so many desires inside. You may not be working with the body, but the desires have not stopped. Krishna consciousness takes away, purifies the desires also, not takes away, purifies the desires. So fight. But then fight or do work in a way that Vishnu is satisfied. So perform karma yoga. And by performing karma yoga, no sin is incurred because Krishna is the enjoyer. Krishna will take care. And Krishna gives example of one such thing, that everybody is eating food, but food has to be first offered to Krishna. If it is not offered to Krishna, then everyone is verily eating only sin. Only sin. Krishna gave his verdict. Okay. And then we studied that who will not do that? A spirit soul which is bewildered by false ego is not ready to come out. He's not even able to recognize that I have a problem. Krishna does not have a problem of birth, death, old age, and disease. Krishna is not suffering. I am suffering. But if I'm not even ready to recognize, I just want to do the work and enjoy it. Do work, enjoy it. Do work, enjoy it. Just go on doing. Then that will bind me. Okay. But Arjuna is now asking Krishna, why? Whatever you are explaining, that it is sinful not to work for Krishna or not to work for Vishnu or not to work for Yagna Artha Purusha. It is sinful. But Krishna, what is it that one is impelled to do the sinful acts, even unwillingly, as if engaged by force? What causes it? Anicham balat. In 36 words, he says, Anicham, icham means desire. Anicham means without desire. Balat means forceful, as if forced. What is it, Krishna? What is it? So Krishna answers, it is lust only, Arjuna. धूमेना व्रियते वहने यथा दर्शो मलेन च यथोलाभेनावृतो गर्भस्तथा तेनेदम आवृतम. So it is lust only, Arjuna, which covers the heart of the pure living entity. And he gives 3 examples. As a dust is covering the mirror, or a smoke is covering the fire, or an embryo is covered by the womb. So these are the 3 examples given. Okay, so dust covering the mirror is equal to animal life. If you have ever seen a mirror which is covered with dust, very old mirror covered with dust, it is very difficult to take the dust out just by rubbing it. It's impossible actually. So this life, this kind of covering of one's pure consciousness is compared to the animal life. Very hard. Smoke covering the fire. So fire is living entity. Smoke is the covering around it. It's easy to fan the smoke away. This represents human life. The human consciousness can be kindled. We can cultivate Krishna consciousness. We have the intelligence. And embryo covering the womb is plant life. Very thick covering. Embryo has no freedom, has to be confined to this place. So this is compared to plant life. Even if a plant wants to read the Shastras, wants to chant Hare Krishna, can't do, because the body is not like that. So very thick layer of covering. So these are the 3 layers Krishna explains. We come again. As a fire is covered by smoke, as a mirror is covered by dust, as the embryo is covered by a womb. Similarly, the living entity is covered by different degrees of lust. This is again, the mirror covering of the dust is animal life. The embryo covered by womb is the plant life, and the smoke covering the fire is compared to the human life. So we are here. We have a chance. There is a chance in this life. Therefore, O Arjuna, best of the Bharatas, in the very beginning, curb this great symbol of sin, lust, by regulating the senses, and slay this destroyer of knowledge and self-realization. So this is Krishna's verdict. Now, I want to ask you, what does it mean when Krishna says, "Oh, best of the Bharatas, in the very beginning, curb this great symbol of sin"? What does this mean in the very beginning? We discussed yesterday. Dhayate Vishyanipinsa. So, what does it mean, very beginning? Yes, please raise your hand if you can answer. There are some hands raised. Are you trying to answer? What is this beginning? Kunal Shah Prabhu, you want to answer this? Then unmute. Therefore, in the very beginning, curb this great symbol of sin. You can unmute, Prabhu. Kunal Shah Prabhu. Okay, Rachuri Prabhu, you are unmuted.
In the very beginning, why it is being told is that.
Hello.
What is
Hello.
the word very?
Hello.
What is the? Yes, Kunal Shah Prabhu.
How are you? Hare Krishna, Hare Rama.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Rama, Hare Krishna. I got a.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
missed your question.
Your hand was raised. So, in the very beginning means what? Krishna says, "Oh Arjuna, best of the Bharatas, in the very beginning, curb this great symbol of sin." So, what is this very beginning? What is the beginning?
Yeah, he is more interested, like the people should be working, or he should do the karmas in the desire, in the interest of serving to the humans, right? There should be no any kind of selfish desire,
Okay.
or it should be only in the through the mind, through the soul, and we should just serve the people around us. That's what Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Preeti Rathi,
Yeah.
Mataji. Preeti
Yeah, in the very beginning, I feel when the world has been created also.
Okay, thank you. Kumar Sarvesh Prabhu.
Ma'am, he's Mataji. He's talking about Krishna is talking about the childhood of this great symbol of Srinath life.
Okay, that's one way of
What
understanding.
what I see is Rachuri here, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Beginning means whenever this thought of inaction comes in anybody's mind, before that inaction and resting in that particular thing, because Karma Yoga, they say that whether you do a work or you don't do it, both are Karma Yogas only. But here, depending on your nature of work, being a Kshatriya, whenever that thought, that type of a thought comes into your mind, curb it in the beginning itself and focus on what you're supposed to do as a service as it is required from your end. That is the beginning.
Thank you. Yes, Varsha Rajput Mataji.
Hare Krishna. At the beginning, maybe after childhood, when anybody understand the intelligence level or understanding level, who can check, or after 13 to 14.
Yes, Omana James. Yes.
Yeah, in the beginning, it means childhood, when you start realizing what is good and what is bad, when you start thinking about sin.
Thank you, Mataji. So yesterday when we studied Dhyate Vishyani Punsaha Sangasta Sanjayate Kama Krodha Vijayate Krodhat Bhavati Samoha Smriti Vibrishtam Smriti Vibrishite Buddhi Nashat Pranashayati. So what was the beginning? Contemplation of the objects of senses. So when we start contemplating, means that is the very beginning. Beginning, let's say I am not sitting here and now I start thinking I will go to that restaurant and buy that food today. So I'm contemplating. That is the beginning of sense enjoyment. Curb it. It's lust. Curb it because it is not related to Krishna. Stop it there only. Regulate the senses, slay this destroyer of knowledge and self-realization. So that is the meaning of the word beginning. Very beginning means when we start contemplating, planning that I'm going to do this. Stop it there. Don't do it. Start. We have to be so strong that I'm so strongly situated in Krishna consciousness that this is not going to take into a form of an action. The thought will be slayed at the thought level itself. Yes, when somebody takes to Krishna consciousness in a young age, it is easier for them to regulate because they are trained like that. It's training. But if somebody is not, then their beginning is stop the contemplation itself. Okay. Thank you everyone for answering. This is very nice. So there are, this is Indrani Parani Ahur, Indrare Para Manaha. Krishna says there are different kind of people, living entities. Somebody who's on the bodily platform. The dull matter means body. Means somebody who's on a bodily platform and they are just thinking the aim of my life is to enjoy the body. So they will not hesitate to do anything. Drink alcohol, smoke cigarette, even in the middle of the day, or be intoxicated all the time, or sleep 30 hours out of 24 hours. The bodily platform. Krishna says better than the dull matter is working senses. So somebody comes to the sensual platform. Central platform also is not Krishna consciousness, but it is better than just sitting dull. This person, Ramanuja gives this example. Person in the bodily platform will not hesitate to go to a liquor shop in the middle of the day to drink. Person on the central platform also has a desire to enjoy the senses, also wants to do this. But we look at this person going in the from the corner of their eyes to the alcohol shop, but they're able to restrain. Why? Because they have to work. They will go Friday night, but not Monday afternoon. So working senses, but higher than the working senses is mind. Person on the mental platform is aware that enjoyment of the senses or enjoyment of the body is not giving me happiness. Let me try reading some philosophical books. Let me become Krishna conscious on my mental, based on my mental strength. Let me hear some classical music. But higher than the mental platform is intellectual platform, where one is jnani, more inquisitive. That this business of self contemplation is not helping me become happy, because every platform, the goal is to become happy. So bodily platform, mental, central platform, mental platform is not making this person happy. Then maybe I can imagine, maybe there is something, maybe God is like that, maybe like this. So that person is definitely higher, because they're not depending on the mind satisfaction or the sensual satisfaction or the bodily satisfaction to be happy. But highest is spiritual platform, because spiritual platform one can realize that the happiness is the function of the soul. The happiness is not the function of the intelligence. The happiness is not the function of the mind. The happiness is not the function of the senses. Happiness is the function of the soul. Unless and until I do an activity which will make my soul happy, bhul jao. I'm not gonna be happy. I may be happy for that particular moment, but it's not going to last. It's not going to last. When we grow more and more in that, in Bhagavad Gita, I will give more and more example from Srimad Bhagavatam. How Prahlad Maharaj says in 7th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, the misery of a living entity starts. He says it starts the minute we start planning something. Start. So I always give example. Let's say somebody wants to go watch a movie. Misery starts, according to Prahlad Maharaj. Now that person's misery has started, because now they want to go and watch a movie. So how is it started? Because first of all, they will be like yearning. I have to go. I have to go. I have to make sure that I am blocking my time only for this. I have enough money. I have enough enjoyment. I may want to buy a popcorn or soft drink. So they go. Okay, the whole week goes planning, and then the time comes. Go buy a popcorn, drink a soft drink, watch a movie for some time, and that okay, we are happy. And come out of the hall, come out of the theater, again unhappy. Why? Oh, when will I go again? So just for a small amount of time, so much unhappiness around it. We don't realize all this unless and until we read Shastras. We don't realize that actually material world means more misery for one fraction of our happiness. That too doesn't last. Doesn't last. Okay, so that is what it means. Indrani parani ahur Indriya bhe para manaha manastu para buddhi yo buddhe parastu saha. The working senses are superior to dull matter. Mind is higher than the senses. Intelligence is still higher than the mind. And he, the soul, is even higher than the intelligence. So this is analogy that the 5 working senses are described with the horses. One, we acquire knowledge. I'm sorry, these are not working senses. These are knowledge acquiring senses. So 5 knowledge acquiring senses. One acquires knowledge with the vision, with the smell, by hearing, by touch, and by taste. Okay, these 5 horses which are going haywire represent the 5 knowledge acquiring senses. The bridle, which is holding them, is the mind. The person, the chariot driver, is compared to intelligence, and the passenger is compared to the self. So what's happening? because the mind is not controlled, the senses are going haywire in the world. The mind is saying eat, eat this meat. Senses go and eat. The mind is saying smoke a cigarette. Senses go and do it. Body doesn't need it. Mind, the satisfaction in the mind, and that is actually it's not satisfied. Also, the mind is saying commit sinful activity, lie, or senses say lie. So this way, why is the mind uncontrolled? Because the intelligence is not sharpened. And why is intelligence is, and beyond that, even not why, but beyond that, if we come to the level of the soul, all these things will be taken care. So Krishna consciousness is the ultimate yoga. Why? Because it helps us to realize the self in connection with the super self. So Krishna, as a supreme personality of Godhead, and soul belongs to Krishna. Not that it is one with Krishna, but it belongs to Krishna. So this is what our life is in a nutshell. So this is what we discussed today. Please go back and read. It's not a very big chapter. Arjuna asked Krishna in the beginning of the chapter, Tadekam Vada, tell me one thing, Krishna, renunciation, or should I renounce work, or should I act? 3.1 to 3.2, Ekam Vada. Krishna says, Nishkam Karma Yoga is better than Jnana Yoga. Both are okay, but better is Nishkam Karma Yoga. Nishkam means one who is not taking shelter of the fruit of an activity, but working. That is described in 3.3 to 3.9. Niyatam Kuru Karma. So Karma Kand to Karma Yoga. Karma Kand is the example that somebody will work for their own satisfaction. Work is needed, but one is working for their own satisfaction. And I gave example of a person who's tilling the field, and they are thinking, I'm going to get grain, and with grain I'll get so much money, and I will enjoy my senses. But bring them to Karma Yoga. Offer your food to Krishna. That's what Krishna mentions in the middle of the chapter from 10 to 16. Pravartitam Chakram. And then Krishna says, Arjuna, lead by example. Yadi yad achariti shrestha in verse 17 to 35. Lead, work, because everyone is going to follow your leadership. If you renounce work, they will still follow. If you work, they will still follow. So better to work, because that is a better example to set. And then Arjuna asked Krishna, what is it that's making everyone not to do what, despite of knowing what should be done, but we are not able to do what, despite of knowing? What is it? What is that force that is making us not to do? Krishna, what is the greatest enemy? And Krishna describes lust. This is lust only, Arjuna, which burns. Kama esha, krodha esha, rajo guna samudhabhava, mahashano mahapapam, videna iha verinam. Iha verinam means greatest enemy. 36 to 43 verse. So this concludes the summary of the chapter. I know some of you emailed me yesterday. I will reply to them today. I'm sorry I didn't get time. The Teachable is up. Karthik Prabhu and all other admins have been sharing. You can enroll for the quizzes. And you can email me in this ugenglish20@gmail.com. And you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel for the recordings. But we have been sharing recordings. Okay, I am at work. I don't have a video today, but we can actually take up some questions. So can I make the breakout rooms? Karthik Prabhu,
Yes, Mataji.
Velavati Mataji, and Sita Mataji. I'll make 3 breakout rooms.
Sure, Mataji.
And 5 minutes only. I'll bring you back.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Yeah, please ask your questions. Please ask your question.
Hello. So
Yes,
my name.
yes.
Hi. So can you please repeat what is the difference between Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga?
Difference between Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Karma Yoga is like actually Karma Yoga means like karma means action. So whatever you need to do, the yoga that requires you to perform the actions, and then through the actions you have to reach God, reach Krishna. So that is a difficult process actually, because
Hello.
you're able to hear.
Yes.
I'm hearing actually echo. I don't know why. Mataji, Anvaya Mataji, you are also hearing some echo there. Your voice is not audible, Mataji.
Yeah, some disturbance is there in between.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not able to talk properly. It is some disturbance is coming. Can other persons please mute?
I think everybody should mute because too many people are unmuted. That's
Yes.
why the disturbance is there.
Yes, Mataji. That's what Karma Yoga. Yeah, still I'm hearing the echo only. Mataji, can you please try speaking, Mataji? Because when I speak, the echo is coming.
Okay, what is the question?
So the question was, hello. Yeah,
hello. Yes.
Me. So I asked, what is the difference between Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga?
Okay, Karma Yoga is obtaining Krishna through devotional service, and Jnana Yoga is also going to Krishna through the process of knowledge. Okay, so to just give you a brief outline of Bhagavad Gita, there are 18 chapters in Bhagavad Gita. So now Arjuna has, is very confused. He does not want to fight. So when, see, just imagine a situation, such a big warrior in the middle of the battlefield is just putting his hands up. I don't want to fight. Now, what will Krishna say? First, he will explain in a very, very simple manner. So the first thing he tells Arjuna that you have to do your karma. And this karma, even if you, whatever karma is assigned to you, even if you do that dutifully, you will come to me. Then after the karma yoga, he tells him bhakti yoga, that why you have to do bhakti yoga. He shows him his divya roop, vishwa roop, and tells him that I am the supreme personality of Godhead. Now after telling him karma yoga and bhakti yoga, then last 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita only Jnana yoga. So Jnana, how it is going to purify you before coming to me. So Jnana Yoga, he gives him the entire 3 yogas, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. In as you go detail in the detail class, Mataji will explain a lot about karma. There are 3 types of karmas: akarma, vikarma, so all, and just karma. So everything will be explained in detail. Now for the time being, am I able to answer your question?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yes, this is very, I could speak in for a very little time, because we will ask other participants also if they have any questions.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Hello, Mataji. Yes.
Yes.
Mataji, I would like to know why there is so much of suffering in everybody's life or in the entire earth. Why did Lord Krishna made it like this?
See, Krishna himself in Bhagavad Gita has told 2 things. This place is Dukkhalayam or Shashwatam. Dukkhalayam, this a place where books are found is known as Pustakalay or Granthalay. Now, same way, a place where all miseries are found is Dukhalay, and that is earth. So, or this Bhulok. So he himself has said that this place is Dukhalay or Shashwatam. It is a place of misery and it is temporary. Now, having said this, why has he created the world like this? Because we were in maybe in Goloka Vrindavan with Krishna, and Krishna was the supreme enjoyer and is the supreme enjoyer, and he has created this entire universe. But we, on our limited knowledge, because of envy, because of ego, we told him, I want to be the enjoyer. I want to be the enjoyer. So he said, he has told us 3 times, don't go to the earth, don't go to the earth, don't go to the earth. But we have said, no, no, no. I want to be the enjoyer. So he says, very well, you go, take birth. And because of this very strong association with I, all the miseries start. And as Mataji will take you further now, 14th chapter, there is the role of Prakriti or the material nature, how the 3 gunas are controlled by the material nature and how she binds us in that, and how, out of that, the mode of passion that gives rise to many things, mainly anger, lust, greed, and we are bound to the fruit of action. Okay, I worked so much, now I want this result. The minute you don't get the result, you are angry. Or if you get the wanted result, you are very elated. So this continuous binding to the fruit will give you this misery. Is it okay?
Got it, Mataji. Thank you so much.
And if you don't have these miseries in this life, you won't turn back to Krishna. If this life is so very comfortable, you will decide to stay here. So you won't turn back to Krishna. That's why he's giving so much miseries. Yeah, next person, can you please unmute and ask your question?
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. Hi. I have a question, and this is my personal experience as well. That every time I have been working in corporates and I have had a very good career, but every time it was like, like I was doing good work, or I was doing good work and keeping it to myself, not bragging about it, but never got the desired fruits out of it. It's like what they say, neki kar aur darya mein dal. But और we always say, अपने अपने को जो काम दिया है वो काम करो और संतुष्ट रहो उसमें. But then there are other people who would work on your who would take the benefit of your work, post that work has been done by them, and then ultimately we are the sufferers for this.
Yes.
How do we every time if it happens, sorry, it really affects us, because we do not have bad intentions in our mind that somebody should lose a job or somebody should get fired because of us. But is it that because other people feel insecure and they try to take the credit to themselves? How should one actually behave in this type of scenario? Because then we are getting affected by it, or rather I am personally getting affected by it.
Yes. Now, when you go to the 18th chapter, Mataji will tell you there are 5 reasons for any work to be successful or for the fruit to be born. Out of those 5 reasons, one reason I'm telling you is the will of the Lord. Okay, that is very important. As much importance you give to your effort, but if he doesn't wish, it will not happen. Okay, so that will be explained to you in the 18th chapter. And the other one thing which I am trying to say is, you said that the other people, they come, and they just walk away with whatever efforts you have done.
Yes.
So now, okay, now you tell me, in Dwapar Yuga, this Mahabharata, this fight took place. How many Pandavas were there?
5.
And how many Kauravas were there?
100.
Okay, that was in Dwapar Yuga.
Yeah.
Now we are in Kali Yuga. In
Yes.
Kali Yuga, it is very, very, there will be just Kaurav everywhere. It is very difficult to find upright, honest people, and people are going to come and snatch away whatever you have done, because this is the quality of Kali Yuga. It is a quality of Kali Yuga, and we are just facing these kind of demons everywhere, in workplace, home, in the society, everywhere these demons are there. And only way that can help you is chanting.
Mataji, can I add, Mataji? It's going to end actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, as Mataji said, this is Kali Yuga. And one more thing, like when you add Krishna to everything, whatever you work, whether you're cooking or working, you add some way to Krishna. If it is Krishna's work, then he will take care. So you are thinking like it is your work. That is why you have to turn back to Krishna and think that you are doing service to him. So then once you start chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, 16 rounds we chant every day. So that is recommended by Prabhupada, and we follow the 4 basic principles. So that Mataji will explain.
And because I'm not suffering right now, they actually go on committing sin because of that. So that's another cycle. I will explain this. So, but forgetfulness is not an excuse for suffering. Okay, our record is Chitragupta, Yamaraj. Whoever is not chanting Hare Krishna will have to see Yamaraj. Whoever chants Hare Krishna does not go to Yamaraj. So, and the thing is kept with Chitragupta. So he's keeping record.
I just feel like, if a child, makes mischief, we punish the child so that he knows or she knows not to do it again. Like it's wrong. Same way, if there was a way Krishna would punish us at that time, wouldn't we be in a better position to realize our mistake then and not do it again? Like if a child lies, you want to say, okay, lying is not good, and you punish them. You would put them in a timeout corner or, whatever. But if I did, instead of doing it today, if I did that, like, let's say 1 month later, I said, oh yeah, you lied to me at the time. I don't know if the penetration of the message would be the same after 1 month.
Well, intricacies of action are very hard to understand. Mataji, you opened 4th chapter, 17th verse. Intricacies of action are very hard to understand. Krishna says now here what action is, what inaction is, and what forbidden action is. We will discuss this tomorrow. Very nice question, but it doesn't work like that. Because paap bada bharna hota hai. Every sinful activity has a different kind of a reaction. Prabhupada says somebody is stealing kheera, cucumber, and somebody is stealing hira. The repercussions are right.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So we have, because you know why? Because there's a reason. We had this discussion once. There's a deep reason behind it. Why? Because Krishna does not just want to punish. Krishna wants to purify. He wants to take away the tendency from the heart of a living entity to commit sin. I'll give you an example. It is given in 2nd chapter. Mataji, if you have ever seen after the harvesting, the farmer usually burns the dry paddy, right?
Yeah.
Or the dry field or dry wheat, whatever is there. But what happens is because now the whole field is barren, does it mean that there is no paddy or there is no wheat. No, the spring comes, again the things come out by themselves. Why? Because the root was still there under the earth, right?
Yeah.
Following me? So Krishna consciousness is not just about wiping away the reaction. Krishna consciousness is about purifying the desire also. Unless and until one is ready to purify the desire, they will keep on doing it. Keep on. They are doing it. Krishna is not doing it. They are doing it. They know. Steal know. A thief knows that stealing is bad. They already know. They have heard it or they must have suffered it, but they continue to do it. Why? Because the tendency is not purified. So Krishna waits. Krishna doesn't force. It's a relationship.
Okay. All right.
It's too
Thank
much.
you.
Hare Krishna. Mataji, Sita Mataji, Anvya Mataji, Anvya Mataji, I'm sorry, I didn't see you when you joined. Kalavati Mataji.
Mataji, I'm back. I got the chart privately from one day. He's asking me, Hare Krishna, why do you show only the whites and the westerners in all the illustrations? Do you feel that brown-skinned Indians are inferior to whites, or are you using the white skin as a marketing tool directed towards the lucrative Western market? From the Raj Venkat Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, this is being blowing up on the chat too, so I would really appreciate you get in different groups.
Mataji, because that Prabhuji got he was in my breakout room. He asked me question there, so I told I will ask with Mataji only. So I came back to you, Mataji.
Thank you. Mataji, is it about the painting or the photograph? What is it about?
He says about why you are using whites and the westerns in all illustrations. Do you feel that
the paintings were done by Prabhupada's disciples in the Western countries? None of the paintings that I'm showing you were drawn in India. They drew.
And he says that all the mysteries you are showing Indian people, and on that way you was asking in that breakout room. So I didn't answer anything. I just came back to you, Mataji.
Thank you. First of all, the paintings amazingly, right? The paintings are so beautiful. Prabhupada used to call these paintings as windows to the spiritual world. Whoever looks at these are the windows. This is how the spiritual world looks like. They were drawn by Srila Prabhupada's disciples in the Western world, most American and European devotees. So that is why what you see is what it is. And I never realized actually, 18 years in ISKCON, I never realized that this is what is happening. But anyway, it is fine because the real thing is the soul. It's not the skin. That is what Krishna consciousness is about. It takes away the skin disease from the heart. That, okay, my heart, based on the skin color or body or the nation or society or parentage or educational qualification, all these things are not going to make us Krishna conscious. Narad Muni says in 10th canto Srimad Bhagavatam, there are 3 places where the pride of a living entity sits. There are 3 places. Srimad Bhagavatam describes it. What are the places? One is parentage. When one is born in a very high parentage, they think they're proud because of the bodily birth to a parent or a mother or father or the dynasty of that place. And if somebody is very educated, they think that there is no God, there is only science. And the third place where the pride sits is the beauty. If somebody is very beautiful, they think that they should be the object of appreciation from the entire universe. There is no one better than them. So Krishna consciousness is about the knowledge of the soul, which has nothing to do with the dress, which is the body. Actually, if you read 3rd chapter, Prabhupada explains body is a dead matter. That is the whole problem in the whole society, that we are chopping off from each other based on the body. I am Indian, I am American, I am European. I'm going to show you something. Why don't I show you this? Let me just show you this video now that you're giving me the idea. This is a video about Srila Prabhupada's life. I'm going to pull it up. In the meantime, I'll take one more question when I'm pulling it up.
Preeti, can I add on to the answer?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, you see a lot of these, they talk referring to the pictures, So I think what has happened is most of the pictures were taken when Prabhupada was there, So to honor Prabhupada, most of the pictures on the slide also has been taken during his time. And naturally, when he was in India for 70 years, nothing was happening. I mean, he actually wanted to spread in India. So when he went to the West, so all these pictures were captured over there. So it is, the Gurukul. If you see those children over there, they're from the Gurukuls over there. And most of the pictures, Prabhupada sitting with his Western devotees, because that's what had happened. So I think it is not a very conscious thing, because Krishna consciousness is spreading like in India, like anything, because Prabhupada had said, see, for an Indian, you have to just scratch the surface, because Rama and Krishna are there in us. It's in our blood. Okay. So we may try to imitate whatever, but, we just do a little bit and it just comes out. So it's so easy for all of us. For us, there is no need to tell, it's there in our blood. But these pictures, I think, because, mostly to honor Prabhupada, those old pictures have been taken. That's why you see a lot of Western devotees and Prabhupada sitting with his Western devotees. That's why.
Thank you, Rashmi. Makes sense. Okay, I'm just gonna show you this. Prabhupada's. This is on Prabhupada's lifetime, made by Prabhupada's disciple. Then Tushar Prabhu.
My spiritual master is calling.
He said that he would like to go to America.
I said, are you crazy? The old man, you are going to die.
Someone told you the story, you wouldn't believe it.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
He's 70 years old. He has no money. He's starting an effort, and it turns into an international movement.
Everyone is thinking, I'm American, I'm Indian, I'm European, I'm Australian, but I'm not this body. I am spirit soul.
He looked like the Prime Minister of the galaxy.
Prabhupada was quite unlike any teacher we'd ever known. There was no gap between what he spoke and what he lived.
The Vedic scriptures gave some sort of backbone to my life.
People were joining left and right. Everywhere people went, there were Hare Krishnas.
Many would consider members of the Hare Krishna sect to be dangerous religious fanatics, but the Krishnas say they're simply misunderstood.
People would kidnap us and try to deprogram us.
The more he got attacked, the more energized he became. Prabhupada loved a good fight.
He was actually bringing some kind of ray of light to the right place.
Regardless of race, of religion, of nationality, we are all brothers and sisters.
If I see this person, this soul, struggling just like I'm struggling in my body, I have a reason to love you. That's deep. His words carry so much power. It's a full expression of his heart that comes through.
The perfection of this life is to understand oneself. This is the beginning.
That's a movie, Hare Krishna, the mantra, the movement, and the Swami who started it all. And guess what? Who made it? Not an Indian. American. Vishakha Mataji is Prabhupada's disciple. She made it. With her husband, Yaduvara Prabhu. They are in Florida because they loved Prabhupada. As Rashmi said, all of them, Prabhupada, it's out of love and gratitude. Okay, you can't stop it. Okay, Tushar Prabhu, please go ahead. Mataji, if you have to leave any of the course.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
I have doubt relating to the soul. The soul is eternal in a way. It neither takes the birth nor it dies. It moves from one body to another. So does it mean the number of souls remain constant? Or when one says that a soul has acquired the liberation, what does it mean? I have this doubt.
Okay, number one is number of souls are constant or not. I don't know. I think it keeps on increasing because Krishna is unlimited. We cannot understand Krishna by my own mental strength. followed by Acharya. So number of souls, I believe it must be increasing because Krishna is unlimited. And number 2 is liberation. So liberation is not a very big thing. Liberation means, literal meaning of liberation means being freed from the material concept of life. Right now, the concept of life is that I am this body, I am born, I have a date of birth, and I live. There are 6 changes the body goes through. Born, stays for some time, grows, produces byproducts, dwindles, and then dies. This is called Shadachara. So these are the 6 changes that a body goes through. But soul doesn't go through these changes. Okay, so liberation means one who is completely situated in the spiritual concept. Like Srila Prabhupada is like completely liberated. Why? Because each and every activity that he's doing has nothing to do with his body. Nothing. Eating Krishna Prasadam. He's speaking about Krishna. He's traveling for Krishna. He is dressing up like for Krishna. So people will see and immediately recognize he's a devotee of Krishna. Right? Everything that he's doing, he's making disciples. Why? So that he can preach Krishna consciousness. That's liberation. Liberation is not a big thing. What is a big thing is devotional service. That is secret. But I think I answered your question, right? That's what
Thanks
you
for
asked.
clearing my doubt, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Usha Parekh Mataji, Dr. Parekh Mataji, please go ahead. And then Ram Gopal Prabhu. Sita Mataji, can I please request you to check the chat, or Kartik Prabhu has to leave for kids class?
Sure, Mataji.
Thank you. Yes, Usha Parekh Mataji. I think she's having problem.
Yeah,
Gopal
someone
Prabhu.
was asking me question, Mataji, in the chat only. I just answered them. So.
Okay.
But one question in the.
This is in continue.
Once again, Mataji. Yes, Kartik Prabhu, go ahead.
Yeah, one question in the breakout room. What is the difference between Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga? So we told them, but it would be good if you tell them, Mataji.
Well, I believe your answer.
No, we told Karma Yoga is like we need to do all the actions, and then through your actions you are trying to achieve Krishna. Anvaya Mataji actually explained it more clearly actually.
Mataji, I explained that it is you can reach Krishna by various ways. One is Karma Yoga, one is Bhakti Yoga, and the other one is Jnana Yoga. So Krishna in the same way has first 6 chapters of Gita is Karma Yoga, then is Bhakti, and it culminates in Jnana Yoga. But I forgot to add one sentence that through Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga, Ahankar develops, and it is a big blocker on your way to attain Krishna. And the easiest way is devotional service, Bhakti Yoga.
Thank you, Mataji. So Jnana Yoga means, this is the step ladder of yoga system. Jnana Yoga means cultivation of knowledge about Krishna and self. So Jnana Yoga ultimately, for example, if a child enters the school, they go to 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, 12th grade. But the aim is to go in and come out, right? Graduate, not just stay in the school and go on studying. Graduate. So Jnana Yoga is like in the school of yoga, but ultimately it should culminate in devotional service. We can cultivate knowledge. That's what I was telling. Tomorrow we will talk about Jnana Yoga, transcendental knowledge. Jnana is okay, very good. One is getting the knowledge that I'm not the body, I'm the soul. But how will it really help? Unless and until there is Vijnana. Knowledge is one thing, an application of knowledge is another thing. Once I understand theoretically, I'm not the body, I'm the soul. Next, what? Immediately intelligent person will ask, okay, and how should I act? What does the soul do? What is the activity? That is Vijnana, and that actually leads to Bhakti Yoga. This is all a step ladder. Karma, Jnana, Ashtanga actually has to lead to Bhakti Yoga. Okay. Please go ahead, Dr. Parekh.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
This is in continuation to what we have already discussed about prarabdha, that if you see somebody with say heart disease or amputated person or some other sufferings, then automatically compassion will come up. And that is when we discussed last chapter that Krishna says that this is your morality and not a spirituality. So should that compassion be there or not? Should I just say that, okay, you had your misdeed last janam, so that's why you are suffering and I should not bother about you?
Very nice question. This is Vijnana. This is a question that she's asking is application of the knowledge. Okay, I now have a knowledge that this person is suffering, but what should I do about it? Mataji, very nice question. Thank you for asking a sensible question. So, we should always have compassion, because we don't want to become hard-hearted, right? Without another person as part and parcel of Krishna and suffering, how can we help them to get rid of the suffering if we don't even see them as suffering? We just see them that they deserve to get what they got because of their own misdeeds. Or then where is the love here? Where is the exchange of Krishna consciousness here? The person will become very hard-hearted. So in all cases, suffering or no suffering, that is between them and Krishna. What is my role? My role is to give them Krishna consciousness, to help them in some way that they spiritually develop. Okay. Okay, Mataji.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Ram Gopal Prabhuji, you have been waiting. Yes.